All right, everybody, welcome back. So, we're going to get started on the weapon updates. There's a lot of stuff. We're going to go over weapon updates and perk updates and a couple other things combat related. So, bear with me. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, and this is all going to be out live tomorrow, July 28th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. So, first things first, general weapon updates. So, they updated descriptions for several weapon abilities to specify that they grant grit. So, that's going to be the Blunderbuss Blast Shot, Great Axe Maelstrom with the No Reprieve upgrade, Sword and Shield, Defiant Stance, Shield Bash, and Shield Rush, and the Warhammers, Clear Out, Shockwave, and Wrecking Ball. So, some blunderbuss weapon updates. They fixed an issue that caused the unload ultimate to trigger when activating and deactivating mortar charge without firing a shot. It will now only trigger the unload ultimate when exiting mortar charge after firing a shot. Excuse me. So, fixed an issue, or I'm sorry. So with the bow, they added a cancel window to the rapid shot ability to allow users to dodge cancel out of an ability after the first shot, as long as they are not actively firing the subsequent shots. Fixed an issue that caused the rapid shot and explosive arrow abilities to have too long of a duration between when the cooldown was triggered and the active frame started. Added the ability to zoom in the camera when using the rapid shot and explosive arrow abilities. Fix an issue that prevented dodge canceling while reloading when exiting ADS, and ADS is aim down sights. Fix an issue that caused the bow to leave ADS while rapidly shooting in settlements. Fix an issue that caused the archer's speed passive effect to continue when the bow was sheathed. Reduce poison shots direct hit passives damage from 150% to 100. And they removed stagger from penetrating shot. The splinter shot ability has been reworked and is now explosive arrow. So explosive arrow is where you fire an arrow that will explode on impact, dealing 50% weapon damage on hit and additional 135% damage to all targets within a 2.5 meter radius. Flame arrow, direct explosive arrow hits inflict burn, dealing 8% weapon damage every second for 10 seconds. Contained detonation, explosion damage increased to 170% damage, but the AoE radius decreases to 1.3 meters. And they updated the empowering splinter shot perk text to state empowering explosive arrow. Its functionality remains the same. Evasive tactics, reduced damage bonus from 20 to 15%, and long range, reduced damage bonus from 20 to 15%. Alright, so for the Fire Staff, fixed an issue that caused the efficient burnout perk to trigger even if the burnout ability was interrupted. Increased the initial impact of Meteor Shower from 34% to 75%, and the description was updated to clarify a 0.75 second tick rate. And they increased the damage of Judgment of Helios from 30% to 40%. And they also fixed an issue that caused Pillar of Fire to go on cooldown if interrupted before the cast. And I hate when that happens with all the different weapons. So hopefully they've done that with all the other ones that are doing the same thing. So some Great Axe changes. They fixed an issue that causes the charge ability to detect targets behind the player and trigger the auto attack. Fixed an issue that caused Insatiable Gravity Well to deal the incorrect damage type. Fixed an issue that caused the Mauler's Fury ultimate to not trigger properly if the player had a slash damage perk on a ring. Fixed an issue that caused the passive Gravity Well tooltip to have unused space at the bottom of the flyout. Gravity Well now pulls down players to the center of the ability upon cast, and the Maelstrom ability with the Absorb upgrade will no longer absorb friendly projectiles. It now only absorbs enemy projectiles. That is amazing. It was such a pain when trying to heal and keeping your cooldowns low with the auto attacks, and they're just getting eaten up by your friendly Maelstrom, so that's great. So Hatchet, we've got a lot of changes with the Hatchet, so bear with me. So, they reduced the Hatchet base stamina damage based on the weapon tier from a range of 36 to 42 to a range of 24 to 30. Fixed an issue that caused the Hatchet aim throw to speed up when animation canceling. Fixed an issue that caused Hatchet light attacks to generate desyncs. Fixed or extended the subsequent Hatchet light attack hitboxes to make them more in line with the first hit. The light attack chain is now more consistent. They fixed incorrect values in the Infected Throw Mortal Power tooltip, made a number of hatchet throwing skill tree updates. So for general, all throws no longer need a passive unlocked to be able to critical hit. Slightly reduced block damage on all thrown attacks, and adjusted placement of the hatchets as they are thrown to be more in line with the player's character and reticle. Rending Throw, they reduced the damage from 120 down to 110%. Targeted Impact Upgrade, so they updated functionality to extend the duration of the rend by 4 seconds instead of increasing power. And they also decreased the distance required to trigger from 8 meters to 6 meters. For social distancing, they increased the dodge back distance, added a stagger to distancing throw, reduced damage from 130 down to 100%, slightly increased iframes during backwards dodge, updated the tooltip to show the ability has invulnerability frames or iframes, and they increased the base slow effectiveness from 15% for 3 seconds to 25% for 5 seconds. Quick Power Upgrade, previously granting 30% haste for 3 seconds when social distancing hits a target with an active debuff. Now it grants 20% for 6 seconds. The Stay Back Upgrade, they updated functionality to root players for 1 second if their target is further than 6 meters away. Infected Throw, sped up Infected Throw attack animation, reduced the damage from 165% to 120, and increased the speed of the thrown projectile. Mortal Power Upgrade, increased the HP requirement to trigger from 30 to 50%. Aim Throw, updated to not interfere with movement when throwing. Increased movement speed while aiming from 1.65 to 2.25. It now matches the throw move speed. Improved cancel windows when transitioning from throw into abilities to match the timing of standard light attack cancels, which is 3 frames after the throw fragment starts. They also increased the damage from 95% to 100%. They removed the stamina cost of throws, and they increased the speed of the thrown projectiles. So passives, critical throws. All throws can now perform critical hits by default, meaning this passive is no longer required. This now grants a 5% critical hit chance on all melee attacks and 10% critical hit chance on all ranged attacks. On Fire no longer requires critical throw to unlock. Rejuvenating Crits no longer requires critical throw to unlock. Exploitation reduced the passive damage bonus from 15% to 10%. Boot and Rally renamed to Hurling Force. Reworked to increase damage of all throws based on how far away the target is from the player, and deals up to a max of 20% damage at 20 meters and beyond. Persistent Hindrance reduced debuff extension time from 30% to 20%. Updated to also deal 3% additional damage per debuff on the target up to a max of 4 debuffs. Adrenaline Rush now triggers off a hit with an ability instead of an ability activation. Accumulated Power is reduced from 30% to 20%, but now also triggers off of throws. And Relentless Fury reduced power from 30% to 10%, but increased duration of the effect from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. So the Ice Gauntlet, they added a 1 second cooldown to Pylon Dodge upgrade. Players can now sprint when afflicted with Frostbite. They fixed an issue that caused Ultimate Chill to not trigger when a target was hit with the Wind Chill or Ice Shower ability. Fixed an issue that caused haste bonuses to cancel Wind Chill early. Fixed an issue that caused the Pylon to consume mana if it didn't spawn on cast. Fixed an issue that caused some damage over time effects to trigger the Frozen Touch passive. Fixed a typo in the description of Ice Shower. Fixed an issue that momentarily prevented players from moving when they exited Entomb early. And that's it for the Ice Gauntlet. For the Life Staff, they fixed an issue that caused dodging to not cancel Light's Embrace and Divine Embrace cast. Fixed an issue that caused other hotkeys to be assigned to targeted healing hotkeys. Fixed an issue that caused the Protector Strength passive to incorrectly show 10% in the tooltip instead of 20%. Fixed an issue that caused Sacred Ground cooldown to trigger before the spell was cast. And that's another one that I was talking about, thank goodness. And they also fixed an issue that destroyed the beacon AoE when hitting neutral targets. And again, thank goodness for that. So Musket fixed a visual discrepancy that caused impact effects for the musket to appear even if the server invalidated the shot. Fix an issue that caused the shooter stance camera to not reset when entering an arena. Fix an issue that caused shots to fire too soon when entering shooter stance from a dodge. Fix an incorrect idle animation when the character was exhausted. Updated musket reload to not have to play through the first half of the reload if the reload was interrupted after the portion of the animation played. After being interrupted and completing the first half of a reload, only the second half of the reload animation will now play. And they also fix an issue that caused the shooting animation to trigger earlier than intended after a reload. For the rapier, fix an issue that caused the repost taunt duration to not match the 4-second ability description. Updated the homing on Rapier's flourish and finish attacks to more closely match the ability's hit areas. Reduced Flurry's base stamina by 25% to 75% depending on the attack. Previously, the stamina damage increased with each attack of Flurry. And reduced Rapier base stamina damage based on weapon tier from a range of 26 to 32 to a range of 22 to 28. For the spear, they fixed an issue that caused the javelin throws to trigger the incorrect impact effects against various material types. For the Cyclone ability, they removed the pushback from the base Spear Cyclone ability. Grit is now on Cyclone ability by default and is no longer tied to the Strong Momentum upgrade. And the Strong Momentum upgrade now has pushback as an optional upgrade for Cyclone. For Sword and Shield, they fixed an issue that caused defensive formation to not trigger when you blocked immediately after dodging. Fixed an issue that caused sword heavy attacks to not obtain Grit from the 300 strength attribute bonus throughout the duration of the attack. Updated Defiant stance ability description to correctly match the 8-second taunt duration. Fix an issue that caused the longsword's empowered whirling blade to not provide any more bonuses until the weapon is re-equipped after failing to hit 3 targets at the same time. Fix an issue that caused the sheathing sword and shield animation to pause when players started to run. Fix an issue that caused players to gain an armor bonus from the shield without having a sword equipped. And finally, for the Void Gauntlet, they fixed an issue that caused the Empowering Proximity passive to not activate if an ability was triggered too quickly after swapping weapons. Reduce Oblivion's Empower, from 20% to 15%. And reduce light attack damage of Void Blade from 100% to 90% and heavy attack damage from 150 to 140. So that is it with the weapon changes. Now there's going to be a lot of perks that have changed and had reworks associated with the weapons as well. So we're going to get into all that stuff too. So in general, they have changed the way perks roll. They now first roll by label and then by perk. This will increase the diversity of perks on weapons. For example, the trade skill drop chance on earrings now has a very low chance to increase the combat focus perks players get from earrings. This can still be a controlled craft using their specific craft mods, and as of right now, folks, I've personally tested this, and you are never going to see a, a trade skill perk rolling on an earring. You're just not going to see it. So if you have any now that are bind on equip, I would hold on to them because they're going to become very, very rare starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. They rebalanced all perk drop chances and normalized the perk chances across all family, creatures, and expeditions. For example, refreshing was not dropping on most family and expedition tables. Now it can drop from all expeditions and families. Skill perks now have a greatly increased effect when on a weapon versus armor. So this will be displayed in update notes as 10, 20, or 30%. The first two numbers being the minimum and the maximum on armor, and the last being the max on weapons. So updated the description of the following perks to specify that they do not trigger unblocked hits, and that's Refreshing Ward, Stamina Recovery, Mana Recovery, Purify, Fortified Recovery, Siphoning, and Siphoning Blow. They fix an issue that caused status effect reduction perks to not activate properly with multiple perks like Freedom, Vigor, and Invigorated. And they also fix an issue that caused generic weapon perks to trigger while using the finger guns emote. What? That's pretty funny. So, perks specific. So they fix an issue that caused Shirking and Power to not properly refresh when reapplied. It is also now correctly labeled as a buff instead of a debuff. They fix an issue that caused the Duplicating Toast perk to prevent Topaz Gypsum attunement potions from being consumed. Fix an issue that removed the Mortal Empowerment perk while traversing the open world. Fix an issue that caused the Mortal Empowerment perk to not trigger properly when loading into game modes like 3v3, arenas, and Outpost Rush. Fix an issue that caused the Sturdy Energy perk to be applied and remain active while the player was exhausted. and updated the tooltip to describe its intended functionality. Fix an issue that caused the vicious perk to not work properly with headshots. Fix an issue that caused the evasive perk to not report accurate information in the status, effect, tooltip, and flyout. They fixed an issue that allowed the shirking energy perk to be placed on heavy leg armor and not function. Replace the shirking energy perk on all existing heavy leg armor with the flame conditioning armor perk. Updated description of the resupplying mortar charge perk to specify that it will not activate after the final mortar shot is fired. Updated the description of a boreal attunement to specify that it does not increase the damage of persistent or damage over time effects. Fixed a typo on the steel great axe charm perk. Fixed an issue that caused several buffs on the invigorating punishment perk to have incorrect labels and not properly trigger a damage increase. Fixed an issue that caused the siege ward PvP perk to reduce outpost rush repeater turret damage. Fix an issue that caused the hardy perk to not show in the stamina bar after login. Reduced effectiveness of the invigorated punishment perk from 3% per buff to 2% per buff on target. Reduce the max amount of targets that could trigger the refreshing mighty gavel perk from 3 to 2. Reduce the values of the ice refresh perk from a range of 20% to 77%, 100% on weapons to a range of 10 to 43%, 75 max on weapons. The ice refresh perk will now trigger on a killing blow from spiky reach as well as mighty spikes. Updated the penetrating backstab and penetrating headshot perks to be stronger and more comparable to the rogue and vorpal perks. Penetrating perks will be better against heavier equip loads, and rogue and vorpal will be better against lighter equip loads. Fix an issue that caused the shirking heals perk to not function properly, and also fix an issue that caused the exhausting infected throw perk to stun targets. Thank you, Slender, for that one. Just kidding. So attribute threshold bonuses. So strength threshold at 50 now affects both light and heavy attacks by 10%. Dexterity threshold at 50, critical chance increase from 5 to 10%. So some huge changes here. Focus threshold at 50 now reduces skill recharge by 5%. Intelligence threshold at 50 now increases critical damage by 10%. Strength threshold 100 now grants 5% more damage to slashing and strike damage. And intelligence threshold at 100 now grants 10% more damage to magic basic attacks. Some tool perks. So durable. This perk now prevents any durability loss in the item. They said that it was going to be changed to like indestructible, but it looks like they kept the same name. They just changed the functionality. So now durable, still not a great perk, but much, much better than it was before, for sure. Armor perks. So reinforced. This perk has been renamed to indestructible, and now prevents any durability lost in the item. We've also reduced the I haven't pre-read these notes, by the way. This is fresh for you guys and fresh for me, as you can see. We've also reduced the chances that this perk will be generated in crafting or drops, so that's pretty cool. Corruption resistance. This now reduces the rate in which corruption builds up. There's also a reduced chance that this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Blight resistance, same thing. And freedom, they increased the reduction from range of 3% to 7.8 to a range of 3% to 10.6. Vigor, increased reduction from a range of 3.7 to 7.8% to a range of 3 to 10.6. Invigorated, same exact thing, 3% to 7.8 to a range of 3% to 10.6. Refreshing ward now triggers after 4 hits instead of 5, so that got a buff. Refreshing evasion bonus has been reduced from 0.98% to 0.75%. Reinforced logging, mining, harvesting, skinning luck, all those have had their chance to spawn on random drops and crafted gear reduced by a significant amount. Ancient, Angry Earth, Beast, Corrupted, and Lost Ward can now roll on shields, and they reduce the chance the following perks will be generated in crafting or drops by a small amount. So Rogue, they reduced that one from being generated in crafting or drops by a small amount. So Rogue, all the Banes, and Accuracy. So here we go with the weapon perks. This is going to be crazy. So remember the way they do this. Let me see. Okay, never mind. It's not on this part. So Keenly Jagged, they changed the damage and cooldown from 7% weapon damage with a 10-second cooldown to 10% weapon damage and a 7-second cooldown. Keen Speed changed the move speed duration and cooldown from 30% for 3 seconds, 5-second cooldown, to 20%, 10 seconds, and a 10-second cooldown. Siphoning Blow reduced the cooldown from 10 seconds to 2 seconds and reduced the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Chain Lightning, Fire, Arcane, Void, Ice, and Nature increased the damage from 11% to 15%, so all the chain effects are getting a buff. Mortal Lifesteal, they increased the health gained and lowered the cooldown from a range of 3 to 5% with a 5-second cooldown to a range of 3 to 7 with a 1-second cooldown. And they also reduced the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Mortal Siphoning lowered or increased the mana gain and lowered the cooldown from a range of 3% to 4.9 with a 5-second cooldown to a range of 3 to 11% with a 1-second cooldown and reduced the chance. Mortal Energy increased the stamina gain and lowered the cooldown from a range of 5% to 15% with a 5-second cooldown to a range of 5 to 35% with a 1-second cooldown and reduced the chance. Mortal Refreshment increased cooldown reduction from 5% with a 5-second cooldown to 10% with a 1-second cooldown and also reduced that one as well from being dropped or crafted. Mortal Fortification decreased the cooldown and increased the duration and effectiveness. Holy crap. 5-second cooldown with a 3-second duration and 10% fortify to a 1-second cooldown instead of 5, 10 seconds instead of 3, and 15% fortify instead of 10. So Mortal Fortification, I believe that's whenever you kill somebody, you get fortified. They greatly buff that one, but also reduce the chance that it'll be generated in crafting or drops. Mortal Power decreased the cooldown and increased the duration from 2-second cooldown to 5-second duration to 1-second cooldown, 20-second duration, reduce the chance. Hated, they increased the threat levels. So Hated, holy crap, so check this out. Increase the threat levels from a range of 5 to 15% to a range of 50 to 150%. This is crazy. Hate is going to be insane. So tanking just got a hell of a lot easier. So I'm going to read that one more time. Hated, they increase the threat levels from a range of 5% to 15% to a range of 50 to 150%. But it's being reduced as far as being generated in crafting or drops. Kind also increased the threat reduction from 5 to 15 to 15 to 45 and added a max reduction of 99% from all sources and reduced the chance that perk will be gotten. Shirking Flames, Shirking Nature, Shirking Frost, Shirking Lightning, Shirking Abyss, and Shirking Arcane, they increased damage and duration from 5 seconds and 20% to 6 seconds and 40%, and the exclusive label from Proc to Elemental. Flame, Frost, Boreal, and Abyssal Attunement that reduced the cooldown and increased the damage from 15% to 18%. It was also changed from Proc to Elemental. Thwarting Counter increased damage bonus from 15 to 20%. Trenchant Strikes, same thing. Trenchant Crits increased damage bonus from a range of 5 to 19% to a range of 5 and 30. Trenchant Recovery increased damage bonus from a range of 10 to 29 to a range of 10 to 41. Flame, Frost, Void, Thrust, Slashing, and Strike Shield wards increased the percentage absorption from a range of 2 to 5% to a range of 4 to 10%. Arcane and Shield ward increased the percent absorption from a range of 2 to 5% to a range of 4 to 10% and reduced the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Sure Pudding reduced the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Mending Infected Throw, direct hits with Infected Throw cause exhaustion, reducing stamina regen for 10 seconds by on armor 10 to 20% based on gear score, and on weapon 10 to 31% based on gear score. And they change a hatchet skill perk to refreshing and remove the gem slot from the quest reward Light Storm's Protector. Now on amulets, we got some amulet perk changes here. So Flame, Frozen, Nature, Void, Thrust, Slash, Arcane Lighting, and Strike Protection increase the damage reduction from a range of 2 to 4.9 to a range of 2 to 10. Alacrity increased the duration bonus range from a range of 5 to 15 to a range of 5 to 30. Empowered increased duration bonus from a range of 5 to 15 to 5 to 30. Fortified increased duration bonus from a range of 5% to 15 to a range of 5 and 30. Mana Recovery, they decrease the cooldown reduction from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. and reduce the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Adored logging, harvesting, mining, and skidding look, they reduce the chance these perks will spawn on random dropped and crafting gear by a significant amount. Again, you are never going to see these again. The only way you're going to get these is if you already have one or if you have a craft mod. So the craft mods, I'll say it one more time, the craft mods and any BOE gathering or crafting stuff with those kind of perks on it are probably going to go up in price because, again, you're going to have the craft mod. If you don't, you're never going to be able to craft it randomly. Shirking Dot Cleanse, decrease the cooldown from 15 to 7 seconds. Shirking Debilitate Cleanse, decrease the cooldown from 15 seconds to 7 seconds. So some ring perks, Siphoning, they decrease the cooldown from 10 seconds to 2 seconds and reduce the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Poisoning, Crippling, Enfeebling, and Infected increase the duration from a range of 5 to 15 to a range of 10 to 30. Focus, increase the effectiveness from a range of 5 to 9.8 to a range of 25 to 49. Brilliant, increase max mana from a range of 5% to 10% to a range of 10 to 20 and reduce the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. Earring perks, so Focus, reduce the mana regen rate from a range of 5 to 9.8 to a range of reduce the mana regeneration rate from a range of 5 to 9. I think it meant increase the mana regen rate to 15 to 29.4 and reduce the chance that it'll drop. Despise, increase the threat levels from a range of 5 to 15 to a range of 50 to 150. So another one where threat is just going to be so much easier, but they've also reduced the chance that it'll be generated in crafting or drops. Beloved, same thing, increase the threat reduction from 5 to 15 to 15 to 45 and added a max reduction of 99% from all sources and reduce the chance this perk will be generated. Evasion, reduce the chance this perk will be generated in crafting or drops. And Health Toast, Mana Toast, Arcanist, Armor, Cooking, Engineer, Jewel Crafter, Weaponsmithing Mastery, all reduce the chance these perks will be generated in crafting or drops. And it should say significantly, like big time, bro. Skill perks are now more powerful on weapons than they are on armor. So get ready for some pretty crazy numbers. So Empowering Rending Throw. Okay, so the range hatchet attacks now deals more damage versus rending throw targets. On armor, 10 to 21, and on weapons, 10 to 31. Vorpal Distancing Throw, they renamed the Refreshing Distance Throw and now reduces cooldown if you're within 6 meters of your target. So the cooldown is going to be reduced on armor 10 to 30%, but on a weapon 10 to 49%. Mending Infecting Throw now triggers when a target with Infected Throw dies and heals for an armor 10 to 21% max health based on gear score, and on a weapon 10 to 31%. Energizing Feral Rush, renamed a Crippling Feral Rush, can now cause slow for 3 seconds on hit. On armor 10 to 20, weapon 10 to 30. Refreshing Torrent, which is a recharge increase while on a hatchet, on a weapon or on armor 1 to 4.8, and on a weapon 1 to 8.5. Keen Berserk now has increased critical chance while on a hatchet, on armor 1 to 14, on a weapon 1 to 27%. So for the hammer, Refreshing Mighty Gravel now recharges on hit, max 3 targets, on armor 5 to 9.8, on weapon 5 to 14. Repulsing Clear Out now has increased effectiveness while on a hammer. So on armor, 50 to 146%, and on a weapon, 50 to 209%. Penetrating Wrecking Ball now has increased effectiveness when... Oh, you know what? I don't even have to read that part. So Penetrating Wrecking Ball on armor, 5 to 19, weapon 5 to 33. Sundering Shockwave on armor, 5 to 9.8, weapon 5 to 14. Leeching Path of Destiny, this is a big one. So, healing with Path of Destiny on armor 10 to 29, on weapon 10 to 47, almost 50% on heal with Path of Destiny. Like, you hit multiple people. I mean, I don't ever use the Warhammer, but I imagine that can heal you up. Like, I'm pretty sure it already does a good job now, but now, like tomorrow, wow. Empowering Armor Breaker, percentage goes on armor 3 to 29, on weapon 3 to 50. Musket, the cooldown Refreshing Power Shot. So the cooldown was increased from a range of 3% to 20% to on armor 8.5 to 54, and on weapon 8.5 to 98%. Energizing stopping power, renamed to repulsing stopping power, now increases knockback distance. So on armor 25 to 97, on a weapon 25 to 151%. Accelerating traps, duration was increased from 3 to 5 seconds. On a musket, on armor 5 to 19, and on a weapon 5 to 33. Mending sticky bomb now heals based on damage dealt. On armor 10 to 21%, weapon 10 to 31%. Empowering shooting stance, on armor 4 to 23, weapon 4 to 41. And crippling powder burn, on armor 5 to 24, weapon 5 to 42. For the bow, energizing evade shot, on armor 4 to 19%, weapon 4 to 34%. And reduced cooldown by 3 to 14 on armor or 3 to 25 on a weapon. Fortifying rain of arrows is now renamed to lasting rain of arrows and now causes slow and bleed from rain of arrows to last longer on weapons or on armor 10 to 20% and weapon 10 to 30%. Enfeebling poison shot, the duration was increased from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. And the weakness is also increased on armor by 3 to 14%, weapon 3 to 25%. Explosive arrow now deals increased damage on armor 4 to 19, weapon 4 to 34. And penetrating rapid fire now affects all rapid fire attacks and increases armor pen on armor 5 to 19, on a weapon 5 to 33. And refreshing penetrating shot increases the cooldown, and when it's on armor 3 to 14 and on a weapon 3 to 25. For the rapier, energizing flourish is now renamed to deadly flourish, so it's going to deal more damage. And on armor 10 to 25, weapon 10 to 39. Omnidirectional evade now deals bonus damage after using evade on armor 1 to 10%, weapon 1 to 19. Keen Tondo now has increased critical chance on armor 2 to 12, weapon 2 to 21. Sundering Repost now has increased rend, and on armor 5 to 15, weapon 5 to 24. Leeching Flurry has now has increased lifesteal 10 to 29 and on a weapon 10 to 47. Refreshing Flesh now has an increased cooldown, so up to 19 on armor and 33 on weapon. Life Staff, Refreshing Divine Embrace, fix an issue that caused this to, first of all, not function, and it now grants the following recharge when triggered, so 12 to 41% on armor, 12 to 69 on weapon, and it now grants the following mana when triggered on armor, anywhere from 1 to 3.5, and on the weapon up to 5.8%. So Energizing Splash of Light is renamed to Purity of Light, so now it heals a certain percentage of weapon damage when it removes a condition. Allies will also heal an additional percentage of the weapon damage regardless if any debuff is cleansed. So it's going to heal an additional up to 10 to 48% on armor and 10 to 85% on weapons. So Energizing Splash of Light is going to be pretty nice, it sounds like. I'll have to do some testing on that. Accelerating Light's Embrace is going to increase the duration of this buff from 3 to 5 seconds, and the modifier is going to now scale higher. So on armor, 5 to 18%, and on weapon 5 to 30%. Revitalizing Beacon, renamed to Vicious Beacon. So when Vicious Beacon heals a player, they'll now receive a critical chance for 6 seconds. So on armor, anywhere from 2 to 6.1%, and on weapon 2 to 10%. Fortifying Sacred Ground, so the Fortify can go anywhere from 3.9.7 to on armor 3 to 16%. And Mending Protection, this is my favorite. So Mending Protection increase the healing effectiveness when on a life staff. On armor, it's going to do anywhere from 5 to 24% increased healing to 5 to 42% on a weapon. So that's going to be pretty cool. For the Fire Staff, Empowering Meteor Shower now grants damage per hit for 10 seconds. On armor, 1 to 2%, weapon 1 to 2.9, so not a huge buff there. Siphoning Incinerate, renamed to Stable Incinerate, now grants grit to Incinerate, and also causes Incinerate to deal more damage. So on armor, 3 to 12% more damage, and on weapon, 3 to 20% more damage. Accelerating Flamethrower now also increases the burn duration. On armor, 10 to 15%, weapon 10 to 19%. Efficient Burnout deals more damage, armor 5 to 19%, on a weapon 5 to 33%, and also grants mana regen. So on armor 20 to 77%, and weapon all the way up to 132%. Refreshing Pillar of Fire now has increased cooldown. So on armor it's 3 to 14, but now on a weapon 3 to 25. Empowering Fireball now deals increased damage. On armor, it was 5 to 32, but on a weapon, you can get it up to 5 to 58%. So Empowering Fireball is going to be pretty freaking nasty. Sword and Shield. So Empowering Whirling Blade, more damage. On armor, it's 10 to 30. On a weapon, 10 to 50. Repulsing Shield Bash, renamed to Diminishing Shield Bash, and reduce the buff duration. On armor, 15 to 30%, weapon, 15 to 45. Fortifying Shield Rush, increase Fortify while on a shield, and the duration increased from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. The increased Fortify is going to be 5 to 19%, but on a weapon, it can get up to 5 to 33%. Accelerated Defiant Stance duration has been increased from 5 to 6 seconds, and movement speed has been updated from a range of 5 to 30% to a new range of 5 to 20% on armor or 5 to 33% on weapon. Incoming heals are also going to be increased. On armor, it's 10 to 7%, or on armor, 2% to 7.7%, and on a weapon, 2% to 13%. Contagious Stab now also increases reverse stab damage. On armor, 5 to 10%, weapon, 5 to 15%. Empowering Leaping Strike now only increases sword damage and increases the damage while on a sword. On armor, it's 3.17, but on the weapon, it's going to be 3 to 31%. Great Axe, Refreshing Charge. If Unpredictable Strike hits, it recharges faster by the following percentages. If it's on armor, 5 to 30, weapon, 5 to 54. Mending Execute now has the following percentages for life stealing. So on armor, 10 to 30, on weapon, 10 to 50. Too bad it's so damn hard to hit, but anyway, whatever. Crippling Reap, the duration increased from 2 to 4 seconds. Also increased slow speed by 5 to 31 on armor or 5 to 50 on weapon. Fortifying Whirlwind now grants the following damage and damage absorption for 2 seconds, max 5 stacks. So damage and damage absorption, I guess, all in one. On armor, anywhere from 3 to 6.6. On weapon, 3 to 10%. I'm assuming the 10% is going to be with 625 on a weapon. Maelstrom, increased damage reduction while on a Great Axe and increased weaken duration from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. On armor, 3 to 14%, weapon, 3 to 25%. Insatiable Gravity Well, damage bonus increased. On armor, it's going to be 15 to 34, but on weapon, 15 to 52% increased damage for Gravity Well. That's pretty big. Ice Gauntlet, Unbroken Winds now has grit and increases damage by 10 to 25 on armor, 10 to 40 on weapon. Unending Thaw now increases Ice Storm damage. On armor, 1 to 5.9. On weapon, 1 to 10%. Pylon Burst, increased Pylon's damage. On armor, it's going to be 1.5% to 5.8%, but on a weapon, 1.5 to 10%. Hi, Kit Kat. Healing Tomb now heals for the following percentages of base health when Entomb ends. On armor, it's going to be 5 to 18%, but on weapon, 5 to 30%. Deadly Frost now recharges Ice Shower. On armor, 5 to 9.8%, and on a weapon, anywhere from 5 to 14%. And lastly, Ice Refresh, increased cooldown while on an Ice Gauntlet. On armor, it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 77%, but on a weapon, 20 to 100%. All right, for the spear, Bleeding Sweep, increase the bleed damage while on a spear, and also the duration is getting increased from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. So on armor, the increase in bleed damage is 2 to 9.6, and on the weapon, 2 to 17%. Enfeebling Skewer, increase the effectiveness of the weakness, 3 to 24% on armor, 3 to 44% on the weapon. Keen Volt Kick, increase critical chance, 2 to 19 on armor, 2 to 36 on weapon. Fortifying Perforate, increase the Fortify on armor, 2 to 9.6, weapon 2 to 17%. And you know, since the beginning, or the first number is always the same, I'm just going to say the second number going forward. I should have done this the whole time. So Sundering Javelin, increase rend effectiveness, so 5 to 19% on armor, 25 on weapon. Leeching Cyclone, the life stealing is going to increase 10 to 32 on armor, up to 53 on the weapon. Void Gauntlet, Empowering Rupture, now triggers when the target dies for any reason, so that's getting a big buff. Doesn't have to be killed by you, it just trigger, or by the, you know, whatever it was before. Now it triggers when the target dies for any reason. So the increase in power is going to be, first of all, the duration is increased by double, 5 seconds to 10 seconds, and the increase in power 10 to 31% on armor, 49% on weapon. Nullifying Oblivion now recharges Oblivion faster, up to 9.8% on armor, 14% on weapons. Putrefying Scream, increased healing effectiveness, and now it lasts 8 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So up to 29% on armor, 40% on weapon. Voracious Blade, increased healing effectiveness, 31% on armor, 51% on weapons. And when I'm saying these numbers, these are considering or based on 625 gear score. So 51 being the max, with the 625 gear score. Slowing Tether, slow effectiveness increased, 31% on armor, 40% on weapons. Diminishing Orb, increased buff reduction, 51% on armor, 70% on weapon. For the Blundy, resupplying Mortar Charge now also grants him power, 8.7% on armor, 14 on weapon. Crippling Blast, increased slow effectiveness, 19% on armor, 33% if on a blunderbuss. Plague Splitting Grenade, increased disease effectiveness, 15% on armor, 24 on weapon. Exhaustive Net, increased exhaust effectiveness, 34% on armor, 57% on weapon. Venturing Claw Shot, increased in power effectiveness, 19% on armor, 33 on weapon. And last, Leeching Shrapnel Blast, so lifesteal increased by 15% on armor, 24% on the weapons. And that is going to do it for the updates on perks and on the weapons. And that's it, folks. Thank you for watching. What a freaking update. Holy moly. I've got one more video to do, so if you want to see the rest of the updates, like the game modes and other various things, tune in for part 3. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Have a great day.